The body fluids. What's the percentage of water and solid in a young adult male? The water is 60%, which is 42 liters, and solids are 40%. Two-thirds of the body water is intracellular, and one-third is extracellular. The total body water is 42 liters, and two-thirds of that is 28 liters is intracellular fluid, which is 40% of the body weight. One-third of the total body water is 14 liters, and which is about 20% of the body weight. So the intracellular fluid and the solids are 40% each, and rest of the 20% is extracellular fluid. So the water of the lean body tissue, that is about 71 to 72 milliliter per 100 gram. The extracellular fluid is subdivided into interstitial fluid, plasma, and transcellular fluid. The interstitial fluid is 3/4 of the ECF, which is 10.5 liters, and plasma is 1/4 along with transcellular fluid. The plasma is 3.5 liters, and the transcellular fluid is 0.5 liter. So the interstitial fluid is 75% of the extracellular fluid, and plasma is 25% of the extracellular fluid, or 5% of the total body weight, whereas interstitial fluid is 15% of the total body weight. So the extracellular fluid total amount is 14 liter, 20% of the total body weight. Interstitial fluid is 75% of the extracellular fluids, is 10.5 liters and 15% of the total body weight. And blood plasma is 5% of the total body weight, which is 25% of the extracellular fluid and 3.5 liters in amount. So what is interstitial fluid? Interstitial fluid is that part of the ECF which is outside of the vascular system, bathing in between the cells. These cells take oxygen and nutrients from the extracellular compartment and discharge waste into it. Extracellular blood volume is determined by arterial tone, stroke volume, heart rate, water and solute content of the extracellular volume. Sodium is the most abundant extracellular cation or osmoles, and balance between extracellular dairy intake and sodium excretion is under the influence of baroreceptors, atrial natriuretic peptide, renin-angiotensin system, calcium signaling, adenosine, vasopressin, and neural adrenergic axis. Renin-angiotensin system is the modulator of sodium excretion. Renin is synthesized and secreted by the granular cells in the wall of the afferent arterioles. Renin and angiotensin converting enzyme eventually produce angiotensin II that promotes renal sodium and water reabsorption. So what angiotensin II does, that it increases the proximal tubular sodium hydrogen exchange, thereby increasing sodium reabsorption. Aldosterone produced by the zona glomerulosa of the adrenal cortex bind to the receptors on the collecting duct, increases the activity of the sodium and potassium channels on the apical membrane, and sodium potassium ATP is pumped on the basolateral surface. It also constricts afferent arterioles, thereby increasing the filtration fraction, and raises the peritubular capillary oncotic pressure to promote sodium reabsorption. So what's transcellular fluid? Transcellular fluid is CSF and the fluid in the eyes and other cavities. What's the water ratio at different ages? In a normal adult, it's 60%. Whereas if you reduce in a baby at birth, it's 75%, and you deduct 10 to 15% less is 50% in the elderly. And what's the water percentage in a fetus? It's 100%. Different types of body waters are calculated in normal hydration. Their percentage in the body is multiplied by the body weight in kilogram. So the total body water is weight in kilograms times 0.6. Intracellular fluid is weight times 0.4, and for the extracellular fluid, weight multiplied by 0.2 gives their amount. How much is the fluid loss from the extracellular and intracellular compartment in case of diarrhea and vomiting? The intracellular fluid to extracellular fluid ratio is 2:1, which is 28 liters to 14 liters. The fluid loss is also in the same ratio of 2:1. So if a 1500 ml of fluid loss, it causes a liter of fluid loss from intracellular fluid and 500 ml of fluid loss from the extracellular fluid. Why dehydration is fast and dangerous in infants and children? The ratio to extracellular fluid and intracellular fluid is more in children, but they have less amount of ECF, so dehydration is fast and dangerous in them. What's volume of distribution? The amount injected minus the amount excreted divided by the plasma concentration of the substance. So if 150 milligram were injected and 10 milligram were excreted out, and the plasma concentration is 0.01 milligram per ml, then the volume of distribution of that substance will be 14,000 milliliter. The substance injected must be non-toxic, non-metabolized, evenly distributed in different compartments, must have no effect of its own on the distribution of water and other substances. How plasma volume is measured? Plasma volume is measured by dyes that binds to proteins. Evans blue, and is also done with serum albumin labeled with radioactive iodine. The average value for plasma volume is 3500 milliliter. How extracellular fluid volume is measured? The most accurate method is by inulin, also done by mannitol and sucrose. How intracellular fluid volume is measured? The intracellular fluid volume cannot be measured directly. Deuterium oxide or heavy water is the best. Is also done by tritium oxide and aminopyrin. Blood plasma. The blood plasma volume is 3500 ml, which is 5% of the total body water. The plasma oncotic pressure is 25 millimeters of mercury, and it has a buffering capacity of 15%. So what's the function of the plasma osmotic pressure? The plasma osmotic pressure holds the water in the capillaries as against the hydrostatic pressure, which tries to push the fluid out of the capillaries. What's serum? Serum is plasma minus clotting factor. So if clotting factors are removed from the plasma, it becomes serum. What substance is more in serum? Serotonin has higher concentration in serum due to platelet breakdown. What are the three major classes of proteins? Albumin, globulin, and fibrinogen. Both charge and size prevent all of the albumin and globulins and large proteins from crossing the glomerular wall. However, if this barrier is disrupted, plasma proteins enter in the urine. Normally, glomerular basement membrane traps most large proteins, and food processes of the epithelial cells, or podocytes, cover the urinary side of the glomerular basement membrane. How proteinuria occurs in renal disease? It may either be due to number one, fusion of the glomerular epithelial cell food processes, as in minimal change disease, which increases the pressure across the capillary basement membrane, leading to large pore size causing proteinuria. Or number two, it may be due to disruption of the basement membrane, as in immune complex deposition. How much proteins are normally excreted every day? Total protein that is excreted every day is less than 150 milligram a day, and albumin excretion is less than 30 milligram a day.